Is the Demon's Tongue any good in patch 6.1.2? So one of you innocently asked if there are real differences between this Regiment of Renown and the Iron Demon. That's fine, this is where I get to flaunt my knowledge as an old Chaos Dwarfs overseer, though the Iron Demon base model's changes fully apply here. It's not that complicated a story, really. The RoR is still fire-whilst moving and unleashes a big, really powerful flamethrower. So there. Recruited for 1700 gold and 425 upkeep, meaning you'll have to really want it compared to the regular version. Health remains 10,050, not the Skullcracker's lower figure. Armor is 120, leadership unbreakable, speed 60, charge speed 84, arriving at rank 9, melee attack is 38, and flaming attack, so it has synergy with all your usual sources of fire weakness such as flammable and kindle flame. Splash target size remains very large, and max target splash remains 6. Melee defense reaches us as 26. Weapon strength 250, split base 70, and AP 180 is the same as is the bonus versus infantry of 20 and charge bonus 50, mass 5000. The flamethrower starts with ammunition 23, range is 80, and missile damage is officially 2764, yes, 2.8k. And we'll get to why, but this is both flammable and inflicts the burnt status, 10 seconds of an extra -8 to leadership on top of being struck by missile attack, and so on and so forth. Officially, each impact does base 30 and armor piercing 15, detonation radius 3, explosion damage 30, and explosion AP 10. Oh yeah, this is why the Iron Demon is listed for extra explosion damage. It's meaningless for the regular one. I'm sure you're wondering what the trick is. Well, each volley is 1 projectile per shot, but each volley is 24 flame shots for 1 unit of ipso facto ammunition. The thing is, we can't see that with the limitations of the animations, and there's going to be wonkiness in how this reacts to single targets, how this targets blobs because it's trying to aim at multiple entities, and so on and so forth. You're getting something out of it, but you're not getting 2.8k. So you're getting what you can get from what does hit the target. At rank 9, its real time is 7.38 seconds, total accuracy has risen to 43, calibration distance is 55, so extra inaccurate past that. Calibration area is a pinpoint sniper level 1.4 meters officially, but you see there's a spread to it in effect anyway. Penetration cap is large, and max targets pinned after the first can theoretically go up to 10 before the explosion takes place. The unit benefits from more power, hellbound, hell-forged, and is a siege attacker inflicting fear and terror. The video will show us well enough how nicely those stats work out in practice, and since I'm returning to the faction after a while, I'm really curious too. But I will note that when I made the video, I only realized after that hellbound has to be selected in the unit customization screen. So I didn't have it on, so it didn't have perfect vigor or magical attacks in this video, nor the 20% physical resistance. Oh well. Anyway, drive-by flamethrowing infantry squares does not really get old. It's really fun, but it's just, consistency can be an issue. In the Redline skills, Hellforged Ordnance at 3 pits grants ammunition plus 20% and range plus 10%, not going to call that bad. Bloodied Bombardment will grant a rank 9 unit plus 12% explosion damage, plus 12% missile strength, real-time reduction 10%, and missile resistance 15%. Hard to complain. In the tech tree, Continuous Bombardment grants ammo plus 10% and missile strength plus 10%, plus 10% more explosion damage, and Weapons of War grants plus 10% speed and plus 5% range. The Hellforge upgrades work exactly like they did with the Iron Demon, allowing more ammunition, barrier hit points, Forge Fire, Blazing Body, extra reload, immunity to contact effects, and, well, let's be blunt, nothing is going to have more of a dramatic impact than extra powder, granting plus 30% to all of your missile damage components when ammunition is 80% or above. At least if you're hitting enough targets. That said, I want to point out for the record that this flamethrower favors base damage. Therefore, armor minus 15 in a 35-meter radius from Forge Fire is actually very meaningful to it. A Soul Blight to soften up a bunch of armored dwarfs won't be in vain, but that is for your harder and more difficult targets. So how do we use the Demon's Tongue? Well, aside from the requisite of laughing diabolically like a mustache-twirling villain, and Chaos Dwarfs have mustaches up to the task, you're doing a lot of the same things, but lack of suppressed means you are aiming for 2 main objectives, raw damage and shattering morale. The unit can do both. How you go about it will vary with the foe and the situation, but there are few truly bad ways to use the unit as long as the enemy enters its range, which is going to happen the overwhelming majority of the time as a range-heavy faction. At that point, you're just using micro as long as you feel that's the best place you're being rewarded, and with this kind of silly missile damage, that may well be true. The penetration statistics means that blobs just die to this thing, and the combo potential is there too, but the flamethrower is still a relatively narrow shot, so blobs will die but not all at once. And once the flamethrower is out, you can still use the Demon's Tongue as a competent chariot war machine. Here's something to point out. In a normal battle, it's going to take you a long time for this to run out. So what you want is to be able to do your skirmishing, get a lot of damage in, but also get a way to be able to do it all over again until the final battle is engaged. But that's your idea. If you're leaving ammunition on the table but you're winning the battle, it's okay. Because breaking morale shocks of any kind, is helpful to winning faster, and that's okay. I'll leave it at that. Seeing is believing. I think that you see the ins and outs just fine. Take care, and have fun turning Skaven into charred Skaver High.